I wake to the sound of rain tapping against the roof of my car. It's a gentle rhythm, almost comforting after the long drive. The digital clock on my dashboard reads 2:17 a.m. I hadn't meant to pull over, but fatigue won out somewhere along this stretch of rural highway, miles from the next town. Outside my window, the gas station's lights flicker against the darkness. Pinewood Stop and Go, according to the weathered sign. It's one of those 24-hour places that dot America's back roads, existing in a perpetual state of dim fluorescence and faded linoleum. Perfect for a quick coffee before continuing my journey. I step out into the drizzle, stretching my stiff limbs. The air smells of wet asphalt and pine, with something else underneath. Something metallic like old pennies. Probably just the nearby dumpster. A bell chimes as I push open the door. The cashier, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes, glances up from her magazine and nods before returning to her reading. I'm the only customer. Coffee machine working? I ask, my voice sounding too loud in the quiet store. Help yourself, she replies without looking up. Just made a fresh pot. The coffee station sits in the corner, surrounded by packaged pastries that have likely been there for days. As I pour the steaming liquid into a styrofoam cup, I notice the security mirror above me is cracked down the middle, splitting my reflection in two. Bad storm last week, the cashier says, catching my gaze. Mirror's been like that ever since. Owner says he'll fix it, but you know how that goes. I nod and pay for my coffee. As I turn to leave, something catches my eye. A small wooden carving sitting on the counter next to the register. It's a crude figure, humanoid, but with elongated limbs and no discernible face. That's interesting, I say, pointing to the figure. The cashier follows my finger and frowns. Oh, that old thing. Local tradition. Keeps away the, well, bad luck, I suppose. She pushes it slightly away from her. Found it outside this morning. Someone must have left it. I take a sip of my coffee. It tastes bitter, with an aftertaste I can't quite place. Mind if I use your restroom before I head out? She gestures toward the back of the store. Keys on a hook by the door. The bathroom is what you'd expect. Dingy tiles, flickering light, a persistent drip from the faucet. I splash cold water on my face, trying to wash away the exhaustion. When I look up at the mirror, I notice something strange. A dark smudge on my neck that wasn't there before. I rub at it, but it doesn't come off. Must be a shadow from the poor lighting. As I dry my hands, I hear something. A soft tapping sound coming from inside the wall. Probably pipes, I tell myself, though it sounds more deliberate, almost like fingers drumming against the drywall. Tap, tap, tap. Pause. Tap, tap, tap. Back in the store, I refill my coffee. The cashier's gone, though her magazine lies open on the counter. I call out, but there's no response. Probably stepped outside for a smoke. I notice the wooden figure has moved, now facing the bathroom I just exited. A chill runs down my spine despite my rational mind, insisting someone must have turned it. The bell chimes as I push open the door to leave, but the sound is different now, lower, almost mournful. Outside, the rain has stopped, but the air feels heavier, pressing down like a physical weight. My car sits alone in the parking lot, illuminated by the sickly yellow glow of the overhead lights. As I walk toward it, I realize something is wrong. The parking lot seems longer somehow. My car appears further away than it should be. I quicken my pace, but the distance doesn't seem to shrink. Then I notice the silence, complete and absolute. No insects chirping, no distant traffic, not even the hum of the gas station's refrigeration units. Just a vacuum of sound that makes my ears ring. I reach my car at last and fumble with the keys. As I slide into the driver's seat, relief washes over me until I glance at the rearview mirror. The gas station is dark, completely dark, as if it had been closed for years. I turn to look directly at it, and sure enough, the lights are on. The open sign, clearly visible in the window. But in my mirror, nothing but an abandoned building with boarded windows. My hands shake as I start the engine. The radio comes to life automatically, but instead of music, there's only static with what sounds like a voice buried deep within it. Too distorted to make out words, but unmistakably trying to communicate. I pull onto the highway, pressing harder on the accelerator than necessary. In my side mirror, I watch the gas station recede into the distance. For a moment, I swear I see a figure standing in the lot, tall and thin, with limbs too long for its body. The digital clock on my dashboard reads 2:17 a.m., exactly the same time as when I woke up. I tap it thinking it must be broken, but the numbers don't change. The metallic taste in my mouth grows stronger, and I realize It's the same flavor that was in the coffee. I roll down the window, spitting it out, but the taste lingers. The road ahead stretches empty under my headlights, but something feels wrong about it. The yellow lines seem to pulse slightly, as if breathing. I blink hard, attributing it to fatigue, but the illusion persists. I reach for my phone to check the time, to confirm my car clock is indeed broken, but the screen won't turn on. Dead battery, I assume, though I'm certain it was charged before I left. The smudge on my neck begins to itch. When I scratch it, my fingers come away with something black and oily. I wipe it on my jeans, but the stain spreads, darkening the fabric like ink in water. A sign appears ahead. Pinewood Stop and Go, 5 miles. My heart races. That's impossible. I've been driving away from it for at least 10 minutes. I press harder on the accelerator, watching the speedometer climb, 60, 70, 80 miles per hour. The engine whines in protest, but I need to put distance between myself and that place. Another sign. Pinewood Stop and Go, 5 miles. I slam on the brakes, skidding to a stop in the middle of the empty highway. Sweat beads on my forehead, despite the cool air coming through the open window. This can't be happening. The tapping returns, tap, 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 coming from the trunk of my car. I freeze, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turn white. Tap, 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 pause, tap, tap, tap. But this isn't real, I whisper to myself. You're exhausted, you're hallucinating. I check the rearview mirror again. The road behind me is empty, but there's something in the back seat. A small wooden figure with elongated limbs, the same one from the gas station counter. My breath catches in my throat. I didn't take it. I know I didn't take it. The radio static grows louder, and this time I can almost make out words. Took it, crossing, cannot return. The smudge on my neck burns now, spreading up toward my jaw and down toward my collarbone. When I touch it, my skin feels wrong, too soft, almost fluid. I restart the car with trembling hands and continue driving, no longer certain which direction I'm heading. The highway seems to curve in ways I don't remember, the trees on either side growing denser, their branches reaching toward the road like grasping fingers. Another sign, Pinewood Stop and Go, 5 miles. A sob escapes my throat. I can't escape it, whatever it is. The wooden figure in my back seat has moved closer to the center, as if inching its way forward. The tapping from the trunk grows more insistent, more rhythmic. Tap, 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 tap. No pause now, continuous, urgent. The digital clock still reads 2:17 a.m. I round a bend, and there it is again, the gas station, its lights cutting through the darkness. But something's different. The building looks older, more decrepit. The sign hangs at an angle, letters faded almost to illegibility. I don't want to stop. Every instinct screams at me to keep driving. But my car begins to slow of its own accord, the engine sputtering until it dies completely, coasting into the same parking spot I occupied before. Through the windshield, I see the cashier standing outside watching me. But she's changed. Her face is gaunt, eyes sunken deep in their sockets. She raises a hand and points at me, her finger unnaturally long and bent at an impossible angle. The wooden figure is no longer in my back seat. Instead, it's sitting on the hood of my car, facing me through the glass. The tapping from the trunk stops abruptly, replaced by a scratching sound, like nails dragging slowly across metal. With shaking hands, I reach for the door handle. I don't want to get out, but something compels me forward, an invisible force pulling me toward the gas station. The cashier's mouth moves, but I can't hear her words. As I step out of the car, the air feels thick, resistant, as if I'm moving through syrup. You took it across the boundary, she says when I'm close enough to hear. Her voice sounds wrong, multiple tones layered over each other, like several people speaking in unison. It's been waiting so long for someone to do that. I didn't take anything, I protest. But even as the words leave my mouth, I feel the weight of the wooden figure in my pocket, where I know with absolute certainty it wasn't before. It doesn't matter if you meant to, she continues. Intent is irrelevant to the old ones, only action matters. The scratching from my trunk grows louder, more frantic. Now what's happening to me? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. She smiles, revealing teeth that are too sharp, too numerous. The crossing is nearly complete. It just needs a vessel. The black stain is spread across my chest now, up my neck, down my arms. My skin no longer feels like my own. I turn back toward my car, desperate to escape, but it's gone. In its place stands a tall figure, its proportions all wrong. Limbs too long, torso too narrow, head too small. It's like the wooden carving come to life, but made of shadow and something else. Something that hurts my eyes to look at directly. You carried it across, the cashier says behind me. Now it carries you. The figure reaches for me with impossibly long fingers. I try to run, but my legs won't move. The black stain covers most of my body now, and where it touches I can no longer feel. As the figure's hand closes around my wrist, its touch cold as ice, I understand with sudden, terrible clarity. The wooden carving wasn't a ward against evil. It was a key, a bridge, a doorway, and I'd turned the lock. The digital clock in my car still reads 2:17 a.m. as another traveler pulls into the Pinewood Stop and Go. They'll come inside for coffee, notice the small wooden figure on the counter, perhaps comment on its strange appearance, and I'll be watching from behind the cracked mirror, trapped in that moment of crossing, waiting for someone else to carry me across the boundary. Tap, tap, tap. Can you hear me tapping? I'm still here, still conscious, still me, somewhere deep inside this vessel that is no longer mine. Tap, tap, tap. Please don't touch the figure. Tap, tap, tap. Please don't be next.